The sea does not scream, it groans. In the dark cradle of the Baltic winter, you lie curled beneath sodden wool, your skin salted raw, your stomach empty but still aching. Above, the sails strain like wounded beasts. Below, rats squeal between barrels of blackened biscuit and spoiled pork. There is no fire, no warmth, only the endless rhythm of waves and the stench of 50 unwashed souls, sharing one cramped wooden coffin that dares to call itself a ship. You are a soldier, or a sailor, or just a boy in a borrowed uniform, and tomorrow you will kill or be killed on waters that do not care who you are. Would you still have climbed aboard if this voyage stirs something quiet and cold inside you? Subscribe and tell me, in the silence between waves, could you have endured the salt, the hunger, and the silence of a medieval warship? The harbour stirs like a beast half awake, fog curling around rotting pilings, gulls circling like they know something the land cannot speak. The sea is not blue here. It is grey as old bone, rippling with secrets and salt. Somewhere, a bell tolls without urgency, its tone swallowed by the thick, brine-heavy air. Beneath your bare feet, the dock creaks, weary timber stained by centuries of wet boots, spilled fish, and the blood of men who never came back. You breathe in, and the scent of tar and rust, and something older settles in your lungs. This is no place for dreams, only for departure. Already, your clothes are damp. Already, the wind tastes of goodbyes. If stories like this carry you out to sea or stir the embers of forgotten centuries, subscribe and stay close. More voices are waiting beyond the waves. And tell me, would you have stepped aboard that ship, knowing what lay ahead? You arrived before sunrise, summoned not by letter, but by obligation. A press gang's echo still lingers in your bruised ribs. You were not chosen for your strength or skill, only because you were there. And now, here you are, standing at the edge of the world, staring up at a ship that looms like a hanging gallows, tall and indifferent, with sails rolled up like fists. The ship is no grand galleon. There are no polished rails, no brass fittings. It is a beast cobbled from cracked oak and iron nails, its boards swollen from storms long past. Its name, whatever it once was, has faded from the stern like a forgotten prayer. A figure emerges from the shadow of the mast. The boatswain, his boots strike the planks with the weight of command. His face is carved from salt and wind, eyes squinting through years of rope burns and sunrises seen without sleep. His voice cuts through the air like a splintered oar. Get aboard if you're still breathing. You nod, though he has already turned away. The gangplank is slick beneath your soles. You grip the rope rail, rough and greasy with old pitch. The moment you cross onto the deck, you feel it, a change in weight. Not in your body, but in your fate. The land no longer owns you. The sea does. The deck is alive with movement, but not order. Ropes lie like sleeping serpents. Barrels are stacked, without rhythm. A man sharpens a blade on the edge of a step, his eyes not on the steel, but on something far off and unreachable. Another chews a lump of stale bread with such violence, it might as well be a bone. You pass the cook near the aft. He stirs a pot that does not steam. His face is ash-grey, his apron stained from things not found in recipes. He sees you, then looks away. You are not worth his breath. Later you'll learn his name was Tormund, that his brother drowned last year, not in battle, but in boredom, slipping on wet rope, and swallowed in the fog. Tormund has not spoken more than 10 words since. Below deck, it is darker than you imagined. The stairs groan under your weight, the air changes, becomes heavier, thicker, warmer, yet not comforting. It's the warmth of bodies packed too close, of stale sweat and mildew, and damp straw mattresses that have never once been dry. You find a place to sleep, not assigned, just vacant. A hammock strung between 2 beams, sagging in the middle like your hope. The wood above your head weeps salt water in steady rhythm, drip, drip. Someone coughs nearby. Someone else mutters a prayer. Someone else stares at you without blinking. No one offers a name. On your first night, you lie awake and count the splinters in the beam above. When sleep comes, it does not bring dreams, only noise. Rats, snoring, the creak of ropes swaying with the slow, impatient pull of tide. You awaken sore, uncertain whether you ever slept. The next morning, the sea rises. Not with anger, but with purpose. The crew gathers at their stations, each man knowing his task, or pretending to. You are handed a coil of rope and told to make yourself useful. No further instruction is given. You mimic those around you, fingers fumbling with knots that burn and bite. The boatswain watches from afar, measuring, weighing, not your talent, but your silence, your ability to endure. The sail is raised, groaning under its own damp weight. The ship lurches forward, slow, heavy, stubborn. Like an old ox forced back to work, the harbour fades behind a veil of morning mist. You see no crowds waving, no loved ones crying, no one even noticed you leave. The gulls do not follow. As land vanishes, a strange emptiness blooms in your gut. Not fear, not yet. Something quieter, as if part of you has been scraped away, and the wind now whistles through the hollow. You bite down on it. There is no place for softness here. By nightfall, your hands are blistered. Your back is sore from stooping over barrels and hauling sacks of weevilled grain. You have not spoken to anyone, but you've heard laughter, sharp, mocking, unkind, and curses that sound like prayers. In a bucket near the galley, you find your first ration, a piece of salted fish, dry as driftwood, and a heel of bread, harder than your boots. You chew slowly, staring at the boards beneath you, watching as a spider spins a web between two rusted nails. You think of home, but even that word begins to blur. Already, your tongue forgets the taste of fresh water. Already, your skin smells of pitch and smoke. Already, you belong to something that does not care if you live or die, so long as you pull the rope, carry the load, and do not scream when the cold cuts bone. Already, your name is fading, washed out by wind, forgotten by wood. Already, the sea is in your veins. There is no warning when the smell reaches you. It creeps into your nostrils like a fog, slow and choking, thick with the wet memory of 100 men who've forgotten what it is to breathe clean air. It is not one scent, but many, layered and old and alive. The sourness of sweat that never dries, the mildew of wool cloaks rotting on hooks, the sick sweet rot of something dead and hidden, and underneath it all, something more intimate, despair, human and bitter and heavy. You descend the ladder into the crew's quarters. For the first time, the wood is damp under your hands. A single lantern swings from a beam, its light yellow and weak, making shadows quiver like frightened animals. The ceiling is so low you must stoop. The air is thick enough to chew. They call it the hold. You will come to know it by another name, the coffin. Hammocks stretch from wall to wall, a web of limp canvas that sags under the weight of exhausted bodies. Some sleep with arms curled tight, others with mouths open and flies resting on their lips. There is no privacy, no division, no clean space to call your own. The walls drip condensation. Beneath one swinging bed, a pool of something black has formed. You do not ask what it is. You find an empty hammock strung close to the stern. It creaks as you ease into it. Canvas damp and gritty. Your body does not relax. It learns to float, half tensed, swaying with the ship's breath. Beside you, a man lies curled with his back turned. His hair is tangled with lice. Across from him, another man rocks slightly, whispering something in a language you do not recognize. You learn their names, not through introduction, but through repetition. The thief from Danzig is called Marek. He sleeps with one hand on his belt, where a rusted knife dangles by a leather cord. He grins at you through broken teeth, eyes gleaming like candle flame. When he speaks, it is often a joke, but never one you understand. Later, he'll offer you part of a biscuit in exchange for a strip of dry cloth. You won't know whether to thank him or fear him. The boy in the corner is barely 16. His name is Elias. He has no beard, no scars, only wide eyes, and the soft, trembling hands of someone who has never held a blade in anger. At night, he cries. Not loudly, just enough that you hear it between the creaks and coughs, a kind of soft weeping, as if his dreams hurt more than his waking life. You will try not to listen. You will fail. And then there is the old man, a grey-haired shadow who sings to no one in particular. His voice is dry, papery, barely audible over the drone of the ship's hull. His songs have no melody, just fragments. A woman's name, a river's name, a prayer spoken backward. No one tells him to stop. Time does not flow down here. It stagnates. 1 hour blurs into the next. Days pass without ceremony. Meals are served in silence, a slop of oats or a cut of stringy meat too pale to name. You eat with your fingers because the spoons are few and never clean. You drink from a shared barrel, the rim crusted with the spit of 20 mouths. The lice arrive within days. You feel them first behind your ears, then beneath your collar, then down your thighs. They do not bite, they gnaw. You scratch until your skin peels. You ask no questions. No one does. Your neighbor burns the edge of his shirt with a candle, watching the lice shrivel in the flame. The smell of singed cloth lingers in your nose. One night, a man screams in his sleep. Another wakes, coughing blood. The crew mutters of fever, of rot, of bad spirits brought aboard in the port of Bergen. The bosun orders a pail of seawater thrown across the floorboards. It does nothing. You begin to learn the rhythms of this wooden world. The thump of boots above, the snap of sailcloth, the muttered curses when the wind dies or shifts. You learn which planks groan louder than others, and which hammocks belong to men who will not tolerate the scraping of boots too close to their heads. You learn to sleep light, to wake fast, to never leave your boots unwatched. The smell never leaves. It soaks into your hair, your skin, your breath. When you climb above deck for your shift, the sea air feels sharp, cold, almost cruel, but clean. You gulp it like water. You return below, reluctantly, like a prisoner returning to his cell. One morning, you find a man has died in his hammock. He is stiff, lips blue, hands curled like claws. No one cries. The cook drags his body up the ladder without ceremony, mumbling that he was sick anyway. His hammock is empty by nightfall. Elias curls into it without speaking. You begin to understand something, not with your mind, but with your gut. This is not a brotherhood born of choice or kinship. It is forged in breathless nights, in shared misery, in the quiet knowledge that no one else will remember you. Your life is bound to these men, not in love, but in sweat and silence. Their survival is your survival. Their stench is your stench. Their madness will one day become your own. And so you do not complain. You learn to ignore the smell, the lice, the weeping, the whispers. You become another body among bodies, another voice that says nothing. The sea will take what it wants. But first, it teaches you how to disappear while still drawing breath. The sea does not wait to teach its lessons. By the 7th day, the wind begins to shift. First in whispers, then in roars. It comes from the north, sharp as knives, and twice as cruel. It bites through the seams of your cloak, finds the marrow in your bones, and settles there with the weight of something ancient. You are not dressed for this. No one is. Your hands, already red and raw from rope, begin to split. Your breath clouds the air, but the cold steals it before you can feel its warmth. The sky is not yet storm dark. It is a cruel, deceptive silver, the color of blades before they are drawn. Clouds slide across it like oil on water, too fast, too smooth. You stand on the foredeck, clutching a length of fraying rope, your boots soaked and your knuckles aching. The wind yanks at the sails, snapping them taut like drums in a war you do not yet understand. Every gust sounds like a warning, not shouted, but hissed between the boards. The bosun shouts something. You do not hear him. No one does. His mouth moves, but the wind devours the words. A lantern crashes against the rail and is gone. The rigging groans above like bones being bent the wrong way. A man climbs the mast, one hand over the other, face taut with dread. You do not know his name. He looks too young to be dead. You pray for him, though you no longer remember how. The sea below is restless. Its color has turned the shade of melted iron. Waves rise not in fury, but in rhythm, each one higher, closer, hungrier. The deck rolls beneath your feet like a beast shrugging you off. You stagger. Your hands tighten on the rope. It cuts your palms like broken glass. Rain begins, not in drops, but in sheets. Cold and slanted it hammers your back, drenches your skin, and soaks through your clothing until you are one with it. The wind does not howl now. It screams, like a mother wailing for a child lost in the deep. The man on the mast slips. It is not dramatic. There is no cry. One moment he is there, a silhouette against the sails. The next, he is gone, swallowed by distance and mist. The sea does not pause to mark the moment. It is not interested in grief. A hand clutches your shoulder. It is Marek, the thief from Danzig. His mouth moves, but again you hear nothing. Only the wind. Only the creak of timber that sounds too close to cracking. He pulls you toward the starboard rigging, and you follow, more from instinct than reason. Your fingers lose their feeling. The rope is slick, near impossible to grip. The bosun ties it around his wrist and gestures for you to do the same. You do. It is a death knot, meant to keep you from being swept away, even if it breaks your arm in the process. There is no comfort in safety here, only trade. The helmsman leans into the wheel with his whole body, his beard trailing like a flag in the gale. His face is lined with fury, not fear. Fury at the wind, at the sea, at the gods who play dice with sailors' lives. The ship groans beneath him, timbers buckling under each wave's blow. You feel it in your stomach, that rise and crash, that sickening lurch that tells you land is more myth than memory. Below deck, men scream, not in pain, in prayer. A chorus of whispered words, overlapping, contradicting, Latin and Old Norse, and broken hymns to saints whose names have been half forgotten. The old man sings again, louder this time. The same two lines, over and over. You try not to listen. You fail. A barrel breaks loose on the main deck, rolling end over end with a sound like thunder. It strikes a sailor in the hip. He drops, groaning. No one stops to help. You stare, frozen, until Marek yanks you forward. You slip. Your knees hit the deck hard. You taste blood. Up above, the sails billow wildly, full, then slack, then full again, as though unsure whether to carry you forward or throw you into the depths. A boom swings wide without warning. It crashes into the mast with such force that you swear the whole ship shudders. The bosun roars. His voice finally pierces the wind. Not in words, but in will. You drag yourself upright. Every joint aches. Your teeth chatter like dice in a cup. You are soaked, bruised, blind with salt. But still, you hold the rope. You pull when told. You duck when shouted at. You endure, because there is nothing else to do. By dusk, the wind has not died. But it grows tired, slower, meaner, more deliberate. The waves remain, but the rhythm softens. The sails sag, exhausted. The rigging no longer screams. It moans. The ship, somehow, still floats. You are not warm. You are not dry. But you are alive. Barely. That night, you crawl below with hands that no longer bend. The hold smells worse now, of wet men, wet wool, and the sharp metallic reek of vomit and fear. You collapse into your hammock. Your arms throb. Your chest stings. You do not speak. Elias is crying again. This time you do not try to ignore it. You close your eyes, and the ship rocks you not like a cradle, but like a coffin, drifting toward the horizon. In the darkness you feel something crack inside you. Not a bone, but a certainty. The sea is not a place. It is a thing. A living, breathing, unloving thing. And today, it has touched you. 3 weeks at sea, and already the world you once knew feels like a fable. A warm table, a soft bed, the sound of a dog barking somewhere behind a garden wall. These things belong to another man, one who no longer exists. The sea has eaten him, not with teeth, but with time. The ship drifts through an endless grey, where sky and water blend like old ash. The sails sag, tired from too many days without proper wind. The crew too sags, faces gaunt, voices low, shoulders bent like broken bows. Hunger is no longer a discomfort. It is a presence, a companion that walks the deck beside you, that crouches in your belly, that whispers into your blood. You rise in the morning to the sound of boots on wood and rats in the grain sacks. The cook stands beside a stack of iron-hard biscuits, handing them out with the same motion he'd used to toss stones overboard. The bread is called heartache. You quickly learn why. You bite, and it resists, not like stale bread, but like bone. You suck it, hoping the damp air will soften the edges. It does not. Each chew is a battle, each swallow a small defeat. You watch Elias cradle his biscuit in both hands like it might speak. He does not eat it, just stares, then slowly breaks off a piece and tucks it into his mouth like a secret. There is no fresh food left. The onions spoiled days ago. The salted fish has gone soft, its smell turning sweet in the wrong way. Some meat remains, dry, stringy, sour with mold. You chew it because there is nothing else. A rat scurries across your boots. You do not flinch. Hunger makes companions of all things. In the corner of the hold, a man vomits into a bucket. His spit is flecked with blood. Another man sits with his back against a barrel, legs stretched out, jaw swollen, a tooth abscess. Someone says, or scurvy, or both. No one knows for certain. The old sailor who once sang now mutters strange things about his gums peeling back. You stop listening. Your own gums bleed when you wake. You taste rust when you press your tongue to your teeth. Your joints ache more than they should. Your skin bruises if touched too hard. Still, you work, you climb, you haul. No one complains. There is no use. One evening, you find a small puddle of rain caught in the folds of a tarp. You drink it, greedily, silently, ashamed. The water is cold, clean and gone in moments. You offer none to the man beside you. He would have done the same. The cook begins boiling biscuits in seawater, claiming it makes them easier to chew. It does, but at a cost. The salt burns your throat, your lips crack and flake, your belly cramps through the night, curling you into a shape that no sleep can soften. Marek, the thief, shows you a trick. He pounds the biscuit with a rock until it crumbles, then mixes it with slivers of dried pork and a bit of rat meat. He calls it sailor's hash. You eat it without comment. It is better than nothing. You even thank him, he shrugs, chewing with the same smirk he wears in every weather. Some men stop eating altogether. Their hands tremble too much to hold food. Their eyes grow glassy, distant. One stares at the mast for an hour, unmoving, until the bosun slaps him back into the world. Others laugh without reason, their hunger hollowing more than their bellies. You begin dreaming of apples. Green ones, crisp and cold, the kind that snap when you bite them. In your sleep, you see loaves of bread steam in winter kitchens. You wake, chewing nothing, your jaw tight and aching. The hold grows quieter, the games of dice cease, the songs die out. Even the rats grow brave, skittering in plain sight. One man catches one in his coat and bites its neck clean through. Blood runs down his chin. No one says a word. Above deck, the sun returns, but brings no warmth. The light is pale, thin as gauze. It only serves to show the yellowed cast of your skin, the red stains at your gums, the trembling in Elias's hands. The helmsman walks with a limp now. The bosun's voice is hoarse. You share your biscuit with Elias. He nods, not speaking. His eyes do not meet yours. You think of his mother, wherever she is. If she still is. You wonder what she would think of this ship, of her boy wasting in the dark, among strangers and splinters. At night, your stomach growls with the cruelty of memory. You do not remember what it was like to be full. Only that once, you were, that once, a bowl of broth and a slice of bread was not a treasure. Now, even the crumbs are sacred, and the sea does not care. It gives nothing, only you do not know how many days it has been since you truly ate. You only know how many remain until your next ration. 1. The cook sharpens his knife on a whetstone. You try not to watch. The bread will come again tomorrow, and it will not be bread. Night falls heavy aboard the ship, not like a curtain, but like a lid. The lanterns burn low, their glow flickering on sweat-slicked wood, barely keeping the dark at bay. Below deck, the air hangs thick and warm with breath and rot. The smell of wet wool, unwashed bodies, and the faint sour tang of mildew sinks deeper with each passing day. But it is not the stench that keeps you awake tonight. It is the sound. Soft. Skittering. Persistent. The rats are bolder now. You hear them moving between barrels, along the beams, in the folds of torn canvas. They do not fear you. They own the ship in ways you never will. One darts past your foot, grey, fat and unhurried. Its eyes gleaming with the confidence of a creature that knows you won't chase it. Elias squeals in his hammock. Marek hurls a boot that misses and curses under his breath. The old man mutters a prayer in some forgotten dialect. clutching the frayed end of a rope like a rosary. You roll over, eyes wide in the dark, heart thudding with an anger that has nowhere to go. The cook catches one by the tail the next morning, its neck broken with a quick twist. He roasts it over a flame the size of a candle, the meat blackening fast, skin popping like wet bark. He eats it alone in the galley, not hiding it, daring anyone to say a word. No one does. You kill your first rat 2 days later. It's near your sack, chewing through the threadbare fabric in search of crumbs. You slam your heel down. It shrieks. You feel it crunch beneath your boot. You stare at it for a long time, the blood seeping into the grain of the wood, the tail twitching long after the life has gone. Then you pick it up, wrap it in a cloth, and carry it to the cook. He says nothing, just nods once. The rumours begin soon after. They come not in shouts but in murmurs passed between men, as they scrub the deck or lean over barrels, whispered beneath breath as if the words themselves might draw something worse. A cursed cargo, a dead sailor's vengeance, a spirit chained to the keel, angry and half mad. Someone claims to have seen a man walking below deck last night. Tall, barefoot, face hidden beneath a cowl of soaked cloth. He did not speak, did not turn, just walked from one end of the hold to the other, and vanished through a closed door. When they checked, the room was empty. Another says the ship is haunted by its last captain, who hung himself from the mainmast after losing half his crew in a storm. They say his boots still swing in the night wind, that his voice echoes in the sails when the moon is high. You don't believe any of it, not at first. But the ship makes strange noises when no one moves. It groans with a voice too human, whispers like breath through the cracks in the hull. Your dreams twist into things you do not recognize. Images of drowning, of teeth, of black water filled with reaching hands. One sailor, a tall man from Bruges, begins shouting in his sleep. He screams of fire, of eyes in the water, of voices that will not stop. The next morning he will not speak. He only stares out to sea, lips cracked, fingers twitching like broken wings. The boatswain tells the men to shut up. There are no ghosts on this ship, he says. Only fools and fish. But even his voice lacks weight. He's lost sleep. You can see it in the darkness beneath his eyes. You begin to count the days by the size of the rats and the number of men talking to walls. On the 12th night, the wind dies completely. The sails droop like exhausted lungs. The sea becomes glass, not calm but eerie, as though holding its breath. The silence is so complete you can hear the creak of the mast, the scratch of vermin claws, the faint wet smack of the waves against the hull. No one speaks, no one sings, and the rats, they grow louder. Brave. You wake to find one chewing your finger. You flinch. It hisses and darts away. Blood wells from the bite. You suck it clean, trembling. Later that day, a barrel of biscuit is found chewed through, its contents ruined. The boatswain orders traps set, though none have rope to spare. Marek crafts one from wire and a spoon, catching 3 rats before nightfall. He skins them with the precision of a man who's done worse. He offers you one, you take it. You eat that night by the light of a lantern wrapped in cloth. The meat is stringy, greasy, but warm. You chew slowly. You do not gag. You do not speak. Elias watches you, eyes wide. You offer him the leg. He shakes his head. Above deck, the stars do not shine. The sea remains still, unmoving, waiting. The ship feels heavier than ever. That night, someone leaves a mark on the mast, a crude shape, etched with a knife of a single eye surrounded by flame. No one admits to carving it. No one asks. In the dark, someone begins to hum. Not a song, a rhythm. Slow, repetitive, almost like a heartbeat. You close your eyes, willing yourself to sleep, though you know it won't come. Because something is wrong. The rats know it, and now, so do you. The cold arrives like a betrayal. It does not sweep in with storms or great crashes of ice, but with silence, the kind that seeps through the seams of the world. One morning, you wake and the air no longer moves. Your breath fogs the darkness, drifting like ghost smoke above your hammock. Your fingers are stiff. Your knees ache. Even the rats have grown quiet. Above deck, the rigging is laced in white. Ice clings to every rope, every spar, turning the ship into a frozen skeleton. The sails hang stiff and crackling. glazed with a thin sheen that snaps when touched. The deck crunches underfoot, frost coating every board. You watch as a man tries to grip a rope with bare hands. His skin tears away, sticking to the frozen hemp like meat on iron. He does not scream, only stares, as if too tired for pain. Your cloak is stiff by noon. Your boots are soaked and reek of mold, but you cannot remove them. If you do, your toes may not survive the night. You walk with a limp now, not from injury, but from the cold that has settled into your bones, like rot in wood. The cook's fire sputters and dies 3 times in a single hour. The biscuits crumble like stone. The water barrels are half frozen, their tops crusted with brittle ice. A man hacks at one with his knife to break the surface, then drinks greedily, lips bleeding from the chill. The wind whistles through the masts in high, tuneless notes. Some say it sounds like a woman crying, others say it's just the ropes. But at night, when the ship creaks louder than it should, and the sails shift without wind, even the bosun stands still, listening. The helmsman, a thick, slow-speaking man from the Eastern Isles, loses 3 fingers before the week ends. They blacken in a single night. By morning they are stiff, brittle, like sticks burned in a hearth. He cuts them off with a cleaver, gritting his teeth, blood hissing on the iron. No one speaks as he wraps the wound with dirty linen. You no longer sleep deeply. You curl into yourself each night, hugging your knees, breathing into your collar to keep your face warm. Even then, your teeth chatter. The cold is not just outside you anymore. It has found your scent. Elias coughs in his sleep, a thin, wheezing sound that worsens with each passing day. His face is pale, eyes ringed with grey. His hands shake so badly he drops his cup 3 times during the evening ration. Marek picks it up for him without a word. The old man no longer sings. He simply rocks back and forth, muttering syllables without meaning. His breath is visible in the dark, each exhale a thread of steam, like his soul trying to escape one word at a time. You wrap your feet in spare cloth, stuffing them into dry sacks. It helps little. Every step stings. Every climb up the ladder is a war. The sails freeze in place one morning. The bosun climbs halfway up the shrouds before slipping and nearly falling. He roars orders, voice cracking with frost. Men clamber up with axes and hammers, breaking the ice loose in angry chunks. One falls, lands badly. His leg bends the wrong way. He does not rise. They carry him below and lay him beside the water casks. He stares at the ceiling and says nothing. He is dead by morning. The sea is steel now, hard, flat, and grey as an old wound. It reflects no sky. It offers no sound but the slow, dragging scrape of the hull. Progress is minimal. Some say the rudder has frozen. Others whisper that we are drifting in circles. The bosun says nothing. The cook has begun boiling seawater in small amounts, filtering it through cloth to make tea from moss scraped off the barrels. It tastes like salt and mildew. You drink it anyway. It is warm. That is enough. You begin dreaming of fire, not hearths or torches, but fire that eats, that roars, that devours wood and cloth and bone. You wake with your teeth clenched, jaw aching. Your body is stiff as if frozen in the dream. You scratch your skin raw in your sleep. Not from lice, but from nerves fraying like old rope. Marek catches your hand one night, stilling it with a whisper. His voice is rough but quiet. Don't let it in, he says. You nod. You do not ask what he means. A week later the first man does not wake. He lies curled in his hammock, eyes half open, lips blue. His hands are tucked beneath his shirt as if holding warmth that never came. No one weeps. No one prays. They simply move his body aside and hang a spare blanket where he once slept. You begin to lose track of days. Time folds. You forget whether a memory is from yesterday or a week ago. You know only the cold, how it gnaws at you, how it lives beneath your nails, how it wraps around your lungs like wet wool. You write your name in the frost one night, on the beam above your hammock, just to see it, to remember it. By morning, it is gone, and you wonder if you are too. The sea shifts, not in sound but in feeling. It begins with a change in the air, a tension you can't name, like the pause before a blade drops. Even before the lookout calls down, you know something has altered. The men around you move differently. The boatswain stares into the wind with narrowed eyes. Marek no longer jokes. Elias has stopped coughing. Not because he's healed, but because his breath is caught in his throat. Ships, someone says. Just that word, heavy and blunt. You climb above deck. The horizon lies flat and grey, like slate beneath a dull sky. But to the east, there, distant specks, sails, 4 of them, and they do not drift. They cut the water with purpose. The command spreads in silence. Men move faster. Loose ropes are coiled. Blades are fetched. The rusted iron ring near the mast is opened. Inside, a pile of short swords, some speckled with dried blood from battles long forgotten. You are handed one. The hilt is cold. The weight unfamiliar. You tie it at your side with trembling hands. The drummer boy appears. Small, thin, pale from lack of sun. No more than 12. He climbs to the forward deck with his drum strapped across his chest and begins the rhythm. Slow, steady, each beat like the fall of a hammer on your ribs. You feel it vibrate inside your chest. It replaces your heartbeat. It silences your fear. You are no longer a sailor. You are now a soldier. The captain appears, long coat whipping in the wind. His face is unreadable, carved from years of sun, wind and loss. His left hand is gone, lost to battle or frostbite. But he wears no glove over the stump. He does not raise his voice. He simply says, "Brace yourselves." You wonder if this is how it begins, not with fury, but with quiet. The ships draw closer. They wear no banners. Their sails are dark, stained, one with a red slash across its center like a wound. You recognize none of their shapes. You don't know who they are, but it does not matter. They are not yours. The bosun shouts names. You move into place. Port side. Just aft of the mainsail. You clutch a spear too long for your reach, the shaft warped and splintered. You hold it anyway. Beside you, Marek checks the edge of his blade against his thumb, then nods. The drummer increases the pace, each beat faster, sharper. The rhythm drives through you like a march. Your stomach turns, not from fear, not exactly, but from the anticipation that can only exist when a life might be ended in the next hour. The sky darkens. A gull flies low across the deck, screeching once, then vanishing toward the clouds. The wind rises, no longer cold, but sharp, eager. The ship groans beneath you as the sails snap to life. Orders fly. The rigging screams. Cannon hatches are opened. You did not know this ship had cannons. Men run powder from below. Others set flint and steel beside the black barrels of iron. The smell of sulfur and oil clings to the air now, layered over salt and rock. You count the approaching ships again. 4, maybe 5. They are larger than yours, cleaner. You think of the boy who died in his hammock, of the cook who has not laughed in weeks, of Elias, who now grips his blade with 2 shaking hands, whispering the same word again and again. You cannot hear what it is. The first cannon booms. It is not yours. The sound is like the world cracking open. A flash of fire. A streak through the air. The ball misses, splashing into the sea with a geyser of foam. But the message is clear. They are not here to parley. You brace. The second volley lands closer. The water rises over the bow. Men shout. One loses his footing and is crushed by a swinging barrel. You pull him clear. His leg bends wrong. You leave him where he falls. The captain walks past, calm as dusk. His eyes are distant. You wonder if he even sees you. The ships draw close, too close for cannons now. Grappling hooks soar, boards slam down. The drums reach their peak, a thundering gallop. Then the order comes. Fight. You draw your blade. It slips in your hand. You raise it anyway. A man boards with a scream, long hair, red scarf, axe in hand. He swings before you can move. The sailor beside you crumples, his head caved in. Blood sprays your cheek, warm, metallic. You do not scream. You stab. You do not remember how. Only that the blade sinks, catches, pulls free. The man drops. Your heart pounds. The drummer still plays, but you do not hear it now. Only the ringing in your ears. The chaos of metal on metal. Wood splintering. Men crying out. Marek grabs your shoulder, pushes you down as another axe flies over your head. He slashes forward, blood spraying across the mast. You scramble to your feet. Elias is on the ground, cornered by two men. One raises a sword. You run. You do not think. You slam into the man, knocking him off balance. He turns, swings, misses. You drive your blade into his back. He gasps, falls. Elias stares at you like he's never seen you before. You do not feel heroic. You feel numb. The deck is slick. Smoke rises from the aft. Fire catches the edge of the sail. The sky is lost behind clouds. The wind screams. The sea rocks with each blast. And still, the fight continues. You wonder how long this will last. You wonder if you will survive it, but you no longer wonder if it is real. War has arrived, and it smells like salt, blood, and fear. The first cannonball strikes like a god's fist. One moment, the deck is intact, bruised, filthy, slick with mist. The next, it is ruptured. A hole where planks once held firm, a spray of blood, a splintered beam jutting from the ribs of a man you knew only by his laugh. You duck without thought, ears ringing, heart thudding like a war drum in your chest. The thief from Danzig, Marek, vanishes in that blast. Not fallen, not wounded, gone. A blur of red and wood and smoke. 1 second, he was beside you. The next, he was missed. You call out, you know it's useless. The sea takes what it wants and leaves only silence behind. All around you, the deck convulses with life and death. Screams echo like prayers gone unanswered. Men crawl, limp, stagger, swing. The fighting has become clumsy, furious, desperate. There is no skill now, no form, just panic, and the raw need to live another second. You swing your blade and feel it catch. Something gives. You don't look. You don't want to see the face. You don't want to know what you've done. Not yet. The smoke blinds. Powder burns the air, stinging your eyes. Your throat fills with ash and copper. The ship lists hard to port, sending men sliding like broken dolls. A barrel rolls by, crushing someone's arm with a snap that splits the air. He screams. Another man silences him with a knife, fast and cold. Above, the sails are on fire, licking flames that climb the canvas like they've been waiting for years. The heat is sudden, wild, alive. You hear shouting, orders, counter-orders. None of it matters. You focus on not falling, on not freezing, on not dying. Elias stumbles past you, blood streaked down his cheek. One eye closed, sword held backward. You grab him, spin him, fix his grip. He nods once, wide-eyed, and runs back into the fray. He is too young for this. So are you. A cannon erupts again. The sound is too close. Your ears burst with pain. Everything is muffled now, the world distant and underwater. You hear only your own breath, ragged and high, your pulse pounding like hoofbeats. You slip in blood. It coats the deck now, thick and slick, pooling in the seams of the boards. The ship groans beneath it all, not from the sea, but from within, the sound of its bones breaking. The enemy boards again. Men with dark cloaks, heavy boots, eyes like flint. One swings a hammer, another jabs with a pike. You block. You fail. You fall. Your shoulder slams into the mast. Stars burst behind your eyes. You scramble, blade gone, hands empty. A man raises a hatchet above you, then he drops, a spear through his throat. The old sailor, the one who sang, stands above you, shaking, blood splattered across his beard. He says nothing, he simply nods once, then turns to face the next threat. You breathe. You don't remember when you stop. Smoke thickens. The sky above is black, not with storm, but with fire. Embers float down like red snowflakes. The sails rip with a sound like tearing flesh. One crashes down, pinning a man beneath its burning weight. His screams are short-lived. You find your blade. It is slick, sticky, not yours. You climb the quarterdeck. From here, you see the full scope of the battle, and it is ruin. Half the crew is down. The enemy has taken the midship. The captain is nowhere. The bosun fights with a halberd, surrounded, snarling like a dog. You want to help. You want to run. You do neither. You watch, because there is nothing else you can do. Then, the bell. It rings 3 times. Slow, measured, deliberate. The enemy begins to withdraw. Not from fear, from victory. The ship rocks again, this time from retreat. You don't know who gave the order. You don't know if your side won or lost. You only know the fighting stops. What remains is not peace, only stillness. You sink to your knees, coughing, retching, eyes stinging. The fire is dying, beaten down by hands and seawater. The wind returns, slow and cool, fanning the smoke away, and in its place, silent, the dead lie in heaps. Some still twitch, some stare with eyes wide and unseeing. You step around them, careful not to look too long. Elia sits near the mast, blade across his knees, mouth open. Blood drips from his fingers. He is not injured. The blood is not his. The old sailor is gone. The boatswain leans against the rail, panting, his halberd broken. He wipes his face with a cloth blackened by soot and blood. His eyes meet yours. He nods once. It is not thanks. It is not relief. It is recognition. You are still alive. That's all that matters now. You lower yourself to the deck, hands shaking, throat raw. You can still smell the fire, the iron, the blood. It coats your tongue. You are still alive. And you do not know why. Dawn arrives without triumph. No fanfare. No birdsong. Just the slow unfurling of pale light over a deck that has become a graveyard. The sea is calm now. Too calm. It laps gently against the hull, soft as breath, uncaring of the horrors that passed above its surface only hours before. The sky above is bruised with smoke. The smell of blood lingers, clinging to every rope, every hand, every thought. You rise slowly, muscles stiff from crouching, from fear. Your hands are blistered. Your face is caked in soot. You step lightly, as though afraid the deck might break beneath your weight. All around you lie the bodies of men who, yesterday, spoke and cursed and breathed. Now they do none of these things. You count them though no one asked you to. 19, that you can see. Some with heads caved in, others with slashes so deep they've become hollow. A few lie curled as if sleeping, as if the final moment was too fast to resist. One stares straight upward, eyes wide open, mouth parted like he was about to say something important. You gently close his eyes. The thief from Danzig is not among them. You search twice. No sign. You look over the edge of the ship, down into the rippling grey. Nothing. No body. No trace. Only the gentle swell of water that has swallowed 1,000 names before him. You feel something hollow inside you shift. Not grief. Not yet. Just absence. A sudden space where a voice once lived. The wounded lie along the port side, bandaged in haste, many still unconscious. The cook ties rags with trembling hands, pressing cloth to wounds that cannot be healed by cloth. One man is missing an arm, another, a face. They breathe. For now, you are handed needle and thread. The bosun shows you how to sew the shrouds. Rough canvas wraps for the dead, stitched closed, so the sea does not spit them back. You prick your finger more than once. The blood joins the stains already soaking into the fabric. You do not ask whose body you are wrapping. It does not matter. Each stitch feels like a word you will never say. Each knot, a name no one will speak again. When the bodies are ready, you help carry them to the rail. 2 men lift each wrapped form by the shoulders and feet. The captain, ash-faced and silent, stands by with a book of prayers. His voice is hoarse. The wind steals half his word. The first body slides into the sea with a dull splash. It vanishes immediately. No ripple, no trace, just water. You do not weep? You wonder why. Elias stands beside you, hands clenched so tightly they've turned white. His face is blank, smeared with soot and something darker. You do not speak to him. There is no need. His silence says everything yours cannot. Another body overboard. Then another. The sea accepts each one with the same indifference. You try not to imagine them sinking, eyes still open, mouths still moving, bones folding like parchment beneath the weight of salt. You try not to wonder if they feel the cold, if they know. The bell rings after each drop, once, then twice, then again. By the 8th ring, the sound begins to haunt you. It echoes in your chest. You smell iron. Blood still stains the deck in long ribbons. Some men scrub it with buckets of seawater, their motions slow and automatic. The stains do not vanish. They darken, spread, sinks for the dead, but no markers, no stones, No names carved in oak, only memory. And that too will fade. You return below deck at dusk. The hold is quieter than it has ever been. No songs, no weeping, just the slow, collective breathing of men who do not want to close their eyes, who know what waits behind them. You lie in your hammock, arms crossed over your chest, staring at the underside of the deck above. The beam is scarred, chipped, soaked with brine. You once etched your name into it, a mark to remember yourself by. It is still there, but faded, just a faint curve of letters, swallowed by mildew. You close your eyes and see faces, not clearly, blurred, mouths moving, voices lost in the noise of battle. You hear Marek laugh, just once. You hear Elias cry out, though you know he never did. You see the sailor who fell beside you, blood spraying like rain. You feel the weight of the sword in your hand, the moment it sank, the sound it made. You hear it again and again. You wake before dawn, heart racing, mouth dry. No one else moves. The ship creaks softly, swaying on a sea that has returned to stillness. The sky above glows faintly. Somewhere, a gull cries out. Far off. You sit up. You breathe. You remember. And for the first time, you wonder how many more there will be. How many more names the sea will swallow. How many more you will have to forget to stay alive. You find the parchment on the 6th day after the battle. It is buried beneath a torn shift, and a strip of linen once meant for bandages, folded into a square no larger than your palm, dry, yellowing, brittle at the corners. You don't remember packing it, but here it is, tucked in the bottom of your sea chest, creased and blank, a silence waiting to be broken. Your fingers hesitate as you unfold it. The air smells of wet wood and burnt pitch. Outside, the wind hums low, like it is thinking of returning to violence. Below, the ship groans with each swell, heavy with repair and mourning. Above deck, voices call to one another. Quieter now, subdued, like every man carries an invisible bruise on his back. You take the parchment and slip it beneath your cloak, climb the ladder into the dawn, and find a place to sit beside a broken coil of rope. No one pays you much attention. You are not needed at this hour. You are not missed. A piece of charcoal serves as ink, a sliver broken from the fire, wrapped in cloth so your fingers do not blacken. You press it to the page. At first, nothing comes. Your hand hovers. What do you say? How do you shape words for a place that cannot be imagined, for a hunger that leaves no marks, for a kind of cold that lives behind your ribs? You could describe the deck, slick with blood and rain, or the smell of burnt sails, of dying men, of fear. You could speak of Marek, and how quickly he vanished, of the boy Elias, and how he still jerks awake in his sleep. But you write none of that. Instead, you begin with their name. You don't know who exactly. A mother, a sister, a girl whose hands once brushed yours near a garden gate. You let the page decide. You won't hear from me again, you write. Not because I am dead, though that may be true by the time this is read, but because the man you knew, he's drifting further each day, not drowned, just changed. The words come easier now. This place is not what you'd imagined. There is no music, no pride, no glory, only noise, only silence, only the sea, and all its many hungers. You pause. The page shivers in the breeze. A gull cries somewhere behind you, its voice sharp against the morning's hush. We fought. Some of us survived. I don't know if that means we won. You write about the stars and how they seem closer at sea, but never warmer, about the boy who hums broken songs in his sleep, about the way time folds in the hold, days melting into nights, weeks becoming breathless stretches of waiting. You mention the rat stew, the fireless meals, the salt that lives in your skin now, in your nails, in your tongue. You write that you can no longer remember the sound of laughter, that you're not even sure what your own voice sounds like, and then without meaning to, you ask for forgiveness. Not for leaving, not for fighting, just for fading, for letting the sea take pieces of me I can't name anymore. You sign it, not with your full name, just your initial, a mark smudged by the edge of your thumb. You sit there, holding the letter, watching the horizon slowly bleed with colour, a thin gold line on the edge of grey. The world stretches wide, empty, unfeeling. You don't fold the parchment. Instead, you press it against your chest, beneath the layers of your tunic, where it touches skin, where you can feel it, dry and warm from your body heat. A small, quiet ember. You will not send it. You know that. There is no bird, no ship, no hand to carry it across waters. But it lives now. It breathes between your ribs. You rise. The crew begins to stir. Elias rubs sleep from his eyes. The cook mumbles at his fire, coaxing life from coals that barely glow. The bosun barks orders that echo across the deck. The ship groans beneath the weight of another day. You tuck the letter deeper against your skin. It is the only warmth you carry. It is the only truth you haven't buried. And if the sea comes for you, suddenly, silently, without warning, at least one part of you will sink still speaking. He speaks only once. It is the kind of voice that startles, not because it is loud, but because you've forgotten it was ever there. He sits near the mizzenmast most days, wrapped in a tattered coat that has long since lost its colour. His face is carved with lines so deep they seem etched by rope, not time. His hair is white, his eyes are dull blue, like sea glass left too long in the tide. You never knew his name. None of you did. Some called him the Watcher, others said he was deaf, or mute, or cursed. He never spoke, he never sang, he only stared outward, always outward, as if he were waiting for something far on the horizon to return. You noticed him even on the first day, how he moved slower than the others, but never wasted a step, how he worked without complaint, never asking, never pausing. Some of the men laughed behind his back, saying he'd lost his mind on his last voyage, that he'd buried 3 ships, that he once killed a man with a broken mug for whispering about his brother. But no one said it to his face, because there was something in him, something still and heavy, like ballast, or grief. It happens in the early dark, just after supper, when the wind has died and the crew sits in weary quiet. Elias is asleep, curled on the floor like a cat. The bosun smokes a short pipe near the galley, the ember pulsing in the dark. You sit alone, sharpening your blade, not because it needs it, but because the rhythm helps you forget the silence. And then the voice. Low, gravelled, barely more than wind. Storm will come again, he says. But it's not the sea that kills you. Not first. You look up. He is staring at you. Or through you. His face is lit by a single flame, and the wrinkles cast shadows that look like maps of old coastlines. You say nothing. Neither does anyone else. The sound of his voice still echoes, not in the air but in your chest. He shifts, just slightly, then continues. His tone never rises. It flows, slow and steady, like the pull of tide. Sailed once on a ship, out of Calais. 50 men. Good crew. Strong. Took on a storm south of Ireland. 6 days of black water. No sun, no stars. Wind like knives. Cold like death's breath. He pauses, looks at his hands. By the 3rd day, we were eating salt and praying in languages we didn't know. By the 5th, the captain tied himself to the mast and howled at the sky. Another pause. A long one. 6 men made it back. The crew is silent. Even the wind seems to hold its breath. You hear nothing but the creak of the hull and the distant slosh of water brushing the stern. He speaks again, his voice quieter now. Lost my brother on that one. Fell from the crow's nest. Broke his neck on the railing. Didn't even scream. Just dropped. Like a sack of wheat. He nods, as if confirming it to himself. I waited for him to stand up. For 3 days I waited. The silence returns. Not awkward. Not just full. You glance at Elias. He is awake now, barely breathing, eyes wide in the dark. The bosun leans forward on his knees. No one speaks. No one moves. The old man lifts his hands, slow as lifting stones. He holds them out in front of him, palms up. These hands have pulled ropes in storms, scrubbed blood from planks, buried friends in waves. But they can't bring back a name once the sea takes it. He closes his fists. Don't forget yours. Then he falls quiet. Not another word. He leans back against the mast and closes his eyes. His face softens. The light flickers once, then dims. You wait, heart thudding, unsure if he will speak again. He does not. No one says thank you. No one dares. That night, as you lie in your hammock, The sway of the ship gentle for once, you hear his words in your head, as though he whispered them into your dreams. Don't forget yours. You reach beneath your shirt, fingers brushing against the letter still folded close to your chest. You clutch it, breathing slow. You think of your name, how many times it's been spoken, how it sounded before the war, before the frost, before the sea began carving parts of you away. You say it, once, beneath your breath, just to remember, just to hear it. And in the darkness you think, maybe that's enough. It begins at dawn, not with ceremony, nor song, nor solemn prayer, but with the scrape of boots on wet deck planks and the slow drag of canvas bundles across wood swollen from rain. The bodies are ready, stitched, sewn, prepared the night before, in silence. 6 in total, men who had coughed blood into their hands, or withered beneath blankets, or simply never woke. No new wounds, no cries for help, just the stillness of death, soft and sudden. The ship is quiet as it hasn't been in weeks. No laughter, no orders, only the wind, faint and steady, and the sea, brushing the hull like a hand offering comfort. The sky hangs low, thick with mist, pale light bleeding through in thin streaks. It is neither warm nor cold, just numb, a kind of morning made for forgetting. The crew gathers slowly, some clutching hats, others standing with arms crossed tight against their chests. No ranks, no uniforms, only men, hollow-eyed and hungry, watching as the dead are laid out in a row near the starboard rail. 6 long forms wrapped in coarse sailcloth, stitched with twine and weighted with stones at the feet. You stand among them, your hands red from the needle, the thread, the salt, one of the bundles you stitched yourself. You don't know who lies inside, but you remember the feel of their shoulder as you turn the body, cold, rigid, already part of the sea though, still above it. The captain appears. He wears no hat. His hair is tied back, face unreadable. He does not carry a book today. He clears his throat and begins to speak, voice low, rasped by wind and grief. They were men of the sea, he says. Some, before this voyage, others made so by necessity. They served, they endured, they died. That is all. There are no psalms, no recitations, no tears. The first body is lifted by 4 men. You are one of them. The canvas is heavy, even with so little life inside. You step to the rail, the others do as well. A nod is given. You tilt, release. The bundle slides off the edge. A splash. Short. Final. You watch the circle of water ripple outward, then vanish. 5 more follow, one by one, the same way. No names are spoken, no last words offered. The sea takes them in silence, just as it took the thief from Danzig, just as it will one day take you. The bell tolls once for each, 6 slow rings. Each one feels louder than the last. Elias stands beside you. His jaw is clenched. His hands shake. Not from cold. You do not reach for him. There is nothing to offer. No words to ease the weight that presses down on every man here. The bosun steps forward last, tossing a scrap of cloth into the sea. It flutters like a ghost before it sinks. You wonder whose it was. A sash. A sleeve. A token of someone remembered too late. The crew disperses, not in haste, just weariness. They drift back to their duties, their stations, their corners of the ship. The galley fire is stoked, sails are checked, ropes coiled. The ship continues, as if nothing has changed, though you know it has. The hold is colder that night. The absence is real, though no one names it. You pass the places where the dead once slept, once laughed, once breathed, the same stale air you now choke on. Empty hammocks sway slightly in the breeze from the ladder well. They creak like old chairs, like beds that still wait for someone to return. Someone never will. You sit by the barrel where Marek once rolled dice. The dice are still there, scattered, stained. No one has touched them in days. You pick one up, its edges are worn, its numbers faint. You drop it. It lands with a hollow tap. 6. Later, in the dark, you whisper their names. Not because you knew them, but because someone should. Even if you only know one name, or none, or invent them, you speak them aloud into the dark. You say Marek, you say Thorn, you say Tomos, or maybe it was Jonas. You say old Alric, though he may still breathe somewhere beneath deck. The names are swallowed by the hold, by the ship, by the sea, but you said them, and maybe that matters. You close your eyes, you listen to the creak of ropes, the slosh of water, the ghosts of men who asked for nothing, who said little, who died without the comfort of earth. Their grave floats now, endless, unmarked, but not entirely forgotten, not by you. The night sky returns like an old friend, cold, distant and silent. You lie on the upper deck, back against a coil of damp rope, hands folded over your stomach. The stars spread above you like a map you cannot read. They shimmer faintly, their edges blurred by the mist, still hanging over the sea, but they are there, and they do not change. The ship rocks gently beneath you, a rhythm now so familiar it might as well be your own heartbeat. The sails creak, the mast groans, but the world above remains still, impossibly still. The stars blink and burn untouchable, old beyond imagining. Helios lies beside you, arms behind his head. Neither of you speaks. Far off, near the stern, someone hums a tune you do not know, a low, wordless sound, a lullaby, or a prayer. You let it drift across the deck like smoke. There is something comforting about the sky tonight, not because it brings hope, but because it brings nothing. No wind, no storm, no battle, just presence, cold and infinite and unmoved. They're always in the same place, Elias murmurs, voice barely louder than the wind. You nod. Maybe they watch us, he says, after a long pause. Maybe they remember the ones we lose. You glance at him. He stares upward, his expression unreadable, hollowed out and half-healed. Maybe, you say. One of the older sailors, a grizzled man with a faded tattoo of an anchor across his neck, told you the stars are the souls of drowned sailors, that they rise, flicker, and shine not to guide, but to remind. Another claimed the stars were the broken teeth of gods buried long ago in the sky, shattered during some forgotten war. You do not believe either story, but you listen, because out here, truth is not what you know, it's what you choose to hold. You try to remember the constellations. Back home, back when the ground was still solid, and you slept beneath straw, not canvas. Someone pointed them out to you once, a cousin maybe, or your father, the hunter, the ship, the candlewoman. Shapes in the dark, drawn by lines you can no longer see. Now you know them only as light. You count them, one by one, a game to stay awake, to keep the darkness from sinking too deep into your chest. A gull cries somewhere overhead. The wind picks up slightly, enough to stir your hair, to brush against your face like a hand that does not belong. You shiver and pull your cloak tighter, its edges stiff with salt. The sea is black, not grey, not blue, just black, a perfect mirror to the sky. If the stars were to fall, you think, they would land soundlessly on the water and vanish. You wonder if that's what happens to men like Marek, like Thorn, like the ones who slipped over the edge and left no ripple. You wonder if somewhere above, there's a star that bears his laugh, or the twitch of his shoulder when he was lying. You wonder if somewhere they are still warm. Ilias speaks again. Back home, my mother used to say the stars were holes poked in the ceiling of the world, so the gods could peek through. You don't reply. You think of home, but it feels like another lifetime. A village where the sky didn't feel so far, a bed that didn't rock, a world where fire was easy and death wasn't ordinary. You blink. The stars don't. They remain exactly where they were. You envy them. Above you, a thin streak of light cuts across the sky, a falling star. Elias gasps softly, sits upright. You both watch it disappear behind a bank of cloud, vanishing without sound or farewell. Did you make a wish? He asks. You shake your head. I didn't have time. He lies back down. The silence returns, as vast as the ocean. You exhale slowly. Maybe you should have wished. For land. For warmth. For sleep. Without ghosts. But you didn't. And now the sky is whole again. Unbroken, indifferent. The night stretches on. Eventually, Elias drifts off, his breathing shallow and rhythmic. You stay awake, eyes fixed on a single star, one that seems brighter than the rest. You don't know its name. You don't care. It will still be there tomorrow. It will not mourn. It will not speak. It will only shine. And sometimes, that's enough. Land returns without warning. No trumpet, no cheer, just the faint outline of rooftops rising like broken teeth against a pale morning sky. You see it first from the bow, a sliver of brown and green, cradled between the rolling grey of water and cloud. A harbour, smoke from chimneys, flags hanging limp. It looks smaller than you remember, or maybe you've grown larger in suffering. The ship limps forward. Her sails are patchworked, frayed at the edges. Her hull is wounded, her timbers groaning like old bones. Ropes dangle from the mast like loose sinew. The crew is little better, hollow-eyed, bent, faded into the colour of the ship itself. You stand near the rail, one hand resting on the salt-crusted wood, the other clutching the folded letter inside your coat. The paper is soft now, worn by sweat and heat, and the rhythm of your breath. It beats against your chest with every step. Behind you, the boatswain shouts orders, voice hoarse, barely rising above the gulls crying overhead. The birds are the first to greet you. Not family, not fanfare, just scavengers circling slowly, waiting to see what washes up. You pass the breakwater in silence. No crowd waits on the docks. No loved ones wave from windows. There are no arms outstretched in joy, only dock workers hauling nets, fishermen scrubbing decks, a child kicking a ball against a post. Life, uninterested in your return. You are a stranger here. The ship moans as it brushes the dock. Ropes are thrown, caught, tied. The planks beneath your feet finally stop moving. Stillness. After weeks of sway, your legs do not understand it. You stagger slightly, body uncertain how to stand on unmoving earth. It feels wrong, soft, too quiet. You descend the gangplank without speaking. One foot, then the other. The wood is dry and warm beneath your boots. The harbour smells of fish and coal smoke, horses and vinegar. The scent of war is gone. A man passes with a barrel slung over his shoulder. He does not look at you. A woman scolds her child for dropping a basket of apples. No one pauses. No one asks where you've come from. You walk past crates and nets, past ships being loaded with sacks of flour and casks of wine. The dockhand eyes you briefly, then looks away. To them, you are just another ragged sailor, mud-caked, unshaven, eyes too old. You pass a wall with posters nailed to it. News of taxes, sermons and a name you half recognize, scrawled beneath the word deserter. You look away. Keep moving. The city stretches ahead. Narrow streets, stone buildings, crooked shutters. You used to know this place. You can still see the alley where you kissed her the night before you left. The corner where you traded your belt for a pouch of dried figs. You try to feel something. You fail. The faces around you blur. They laugh, argue, bargain for bread. A boy offers you a flower. You decline. He shrugs and runs off. At a fountain in the square, you stop. Sit. The stone is cold. The baker unloads loaves across the street. The scent reaches you, warm, yeasty, alive. Your stomach clenches. But you do not move. You stare at your hands. They're cracked. Nails blackened. A thin white scar now runs along the side of your thumb. You do not remember how it came to be. You run your finger over it slowly, as if it might answer. You listen to the sounds of the harbour behind you. The creak of wood, the slap of sails, the cry of ropes being pulled too tight. You hear the ship, still docked, still breathing. You should feel something. You should feel peace, or pride, or grief. You feel nothing. A man nearby coughs. A dog barks. A bell rings in the distance. The world continues, untouched by your pain, unmarked by your passage. You rise and walk back toward the docks. The ship is being cleaned, the blood washed, the ropes coiled, the bodies forgotten. Elias sits at the base of the mast, head in his hands. He doesn't look up as you pass. You pause, unsure whether to speak. But what would you say? What name would you call him by now? You step off the dock one last time. The stones beneath your feet are solid. The road ahead winds between rows of houses, quiet as a church after service. You walk it slowly, not toward home, but toward somewhere you can be alone. You have returned, but no one knows. And you are not the one who left. You find yourself in a tavern before sunset. Its door creaks open like a confession. The warmth inside is not real warmth, just the heat of too many bodies, and a fire barely fed. The floor is sticky, The air smells of yeast and sweat, and the old comfort of burnt fat. You step inside, and let the door fall shut behind you. No one turns, no one stares. You are just another man returning from a place no one wants to hear about. The barkeep eyes you for a heartbeat too long, then nods to the table near the hearth. You sit without speaking. The bench beneath you is rough, worn smooth by generations of elbows and stories. You run your hand across the grain, trying to remember the last time you sat on furniture that didn't sway. The ale comes in a tin cup, dented and warm. The bread is coarse and dry. The stew is thin, tasting more of pepper than meat. You chew slowly, methodically, forcing each swallow down as if it were rope you must coil. The spoon shakes in your grip, but not from cold. It's the stillness. Your body doesn't know what to do without the ship's constant breathing. A woman sits at a nearby table. Her face is round and flushed, hair bound in a scarf that's seen better dye. She watches you, curiosity pinned behind her eyes like a needle waiting to prick. After a while, she stands and walks over. "You've been at sea," she says. "It's not a question." You nod. She slides onto the bench across from you. Her hands are calloused. Baker's hands, maybe. Or washerwoman's. She leans in slightly, scent of ash and lavender soap, reaching you like a memory. "How long?" You think. You do not know the answer. "Long enough," you say. She smiles. But it does not reach her eyes. "You're not the first back this week. There's been whispers of a battle." You chew another mouthful. Swallow. Say nothing. Her brow furrows. "Were you in it?" You look at her. Really look at her. And for a moment, you think of telling her. Of the fire. And the blood. Of the rats. Of Marek and the boy who hummed in his sleep. Of the canvas stitched with trembling fingers. The splash of bodies lowered into the sea. You think of the cold and the bread. And the boy who said the stars were gods peeking through. But you don't. You sip your ale. "I was sailing," you say. She chuckles softly. You say that like it's a sin. You manage the ghost of a smile. Sometimes it feels like one. She reaches out, touches your hand. Just briefly, barely enough to leave warmth. Then she stands. "Well," she says, smoothing her skirt. "If you change your mind about talking, I'm usually here." You nod. She walks away. The fire crackles behind you. You stare into it, hoping it might burn away something inside you. But it does not. It only reminds you of the flames licking the sails, the smell of burnt rope, the sound of splintering wood. A man across the room laughs, loud, deep, full of something you cannot name. You flinch. The noise pierces you, uninvited. You take another sip of ale. It tastes of tin. The tavern hums with voices, boots, clatter, but none of it touches you. You sit in a shell, shaped like yourself, but hollowed out. A child runs past, giggling. Someone sings the end of a song you don't recognize. The world continues, but your tongue holds 1,000 things it cannot say. You stand. Leave coin on the table. The barkeep glances at it, then at you. "Safe home," he mutters. You nod. Step outside. The street is dim. Lanterns flicker. The air smells of wet stone and coal smoke. You walk slowly, past shuttered windows, past couples huddled close, past a stray dog, gnawing a bone. You are not drunk. You are not fed. But you are full of words you will never speak. At the corner of the alley, you stop. Reach into your coat. Your fingers brush the folded letter once more. You do not open it. You do not need to. It says everything you cannot, and that, perhaps, is enough. You disappear into the night. One name fewer than you carried yesterday. One truth heavier. You return at last to the place you once called home. Though now, even the path feels foreign beneath your feet. The road curves through woods that seem thinner than they were. Or perhaps the trees have simply forgotten how to shelter you. Their limbs are bare, their bark grey and splitting. The fields beyond lie fallow, patches of frost clinging stubbornly to the black earth. A crow watches from a fence post as you pass, head cocked, eyes unblinking. You do not wave. You do not speak. The village appears over the next rise, as if ashamed to be seen. It is smaller than you remember. Roofs slump with age. Windows are shuttered, some broken. Smoke curls lazily from only a few chimneys. You count them without meaning to. 7. No more. You walk slowly, boots dragging through gravel, and old snow. Children pause in their games to stare. One boy points. A girl hides behind her mother's skirt. You nod. They do not nod back. You pass the baker's house. The shutters are nailed shut. A rusted sign hangs askew. You smell no bread. The blacksmith's yard is quiet, his anvil cold and untouched. The forge is dark. A horse stands tethered outside, its ribs showing. You wonder if it remembers your scent. You turn the corner. There, the house, your father's. The gate leans inward, one hinge snapped, creaking with every gust. The garden is gone. Weeds reign now, brown and brittle. You step carefully through them, each crunch a sound louder than it should be. The door is unlocked. Inside, the air is stale, not dead, but abandoned. Dust clings to everything, to the table where meals were once shared, to the shelf where a candle still leans half-burnt. A coat hangs by the door, stiff with disuse. You touch it, it crumbles slightly beneath your fingers. In the corner, the hearth waits, cold, blackened, its last fire long since wept to ash. You take a step further. There, beside the hearth, lies a pair of boots. Yours. Sea boots. Worn and salt-stained, their leather cracked, soles still slick with the memory of the deck. You left them there. Or someone placed them there after you'd gone. You do not know which. They sit just as you remember, upright, side by side, as if still guarding your absence. You kneel, touch them. They feel like another life. Your hands rest on them longer than they should. You lift one, then set it down. Slowly, gently, as if not to disturb something asleep. A sound behind you. You turn. A boy, no more than 7, stands in the doorway, mouth open slightly, eyes wide. He holds a stick like a sword. Dirt smudges his cheek. You both stare. He doesn't run, just watches. You nod once. He nods back. Then he turns and vanishes. The door creaks shut behind him. You rise. Step outside. The sky has darkened, clouds thick with snow. The air smells of iron and memory. You walk behind the house, down the old path to the shed. It still stands. The tools hang in rusted rows. A spade, a rake, your father's axe, blade dulled, handle wrapped in twine. You pick it up. It feels wrong in your grip. Too short, too light. You set it down. In the back corner, buried beneath canvas and straw, you find the chest. The old one. The one you once hid your stories in. You pull it open. Inside, a faded scarf, a cracked wooden toy, a letter never sent, addressed in a hand too clean to be yours. You do not read it. You close the chest. You return to the boots. They remain by the hearth. You do not take them. You leave them as they are, empty, waiting, a monument to the man who never returned. Because you are not him. Not anymore. You walk back through the garden, past the dead vines, past the rusted gate, back toward the road. The village is quieter now, or perhaps you are just walking lighter. You do not look back, because some ghosts are best left where they sat, by the hearth, by the boots, in the dust of things that were once warm. Years pass, but the sea does not. It lingers, not in the air, not in the sound of waves against shore or gulls circling above, but in you, beneath your skin, within the small lakes of your bones, in the way your breath catches when the wind shifts, in the salt you taste some mornings, even when the bread is dry and the sky is clean. You do not return to the harbour. Not once. You remain inland, where the hills roll soft and green, where fields stretch quiet beneath low clouds. Your hands, once blood-cracked and rope-burned, now grip a spade, a hoe, tools of peace, tools of soil. You dig rows, sow seed, watch things grow, but your dreams are filled with water. They come without warning. Some nights, you feel the pitch of the deck beneath your spine, the sway of canvas above, the creak of rope and the groan of wood. You smell tar. You taste blood and iron. You wake before dawn, your shirt soaked through, hand clutching the empty space beside you as if to catch a rope no longer there. The land does not ask questions. It gives, slowly, patiently, and only with effort. The harvest is meagre. The rains are few, but there is something honest in it. You rise with the sun, shoulder your tools, and walk the furrows alone. Your neighbors know your name, but not your story. They greet you politely. They do not pry. Only the old man at the well seems to sense what you carry. You've got the sea in you, he says one morning, handing you the bucket. I can smell it. You nod. He chuckles. It never leaves. No, it doesn't. You still carry the letter, folded neatly, tucked in a pouch, worn soft by time and touch. You do not open it anymore. You do not need to. The words are memorized, branded, a part of you now. It beats beneath your ribs like a second heart. One spring, you build a bench beneath the willow tree on the edge of your land. From there, you can see the horizon. No ships, no sails, just sky and field and the memory of wind. You sit there, often, watching the clouds drift, slow and endless. Sometimes, you carve bits of wood, shaped into birds, ships, faces half remembered. You leave them scattered across your fence posts. The children steal them. You do not mind. One day, you hear a shout from the edge of the field. A cart has broken a wheel. You cross the furrows to help. The woman thanks you with a nod and a slice of warm bread wrapped in linen. You eat it slowly, sitting on the stone wall, staring into the dirt. It tastes of land, of flour and sun and sweat, but still, you feel the sea between your teeth. It's in the way you never sleep on your back, in the way your fingers curl into fists without your asking, in the way you flinch at thunder, in the way silence at times seems louder than cannon fire. You plant lavender along the window ledge, a small comfort. The scent reminds you of the cloth Merrick once carried, a scrap stolen from somewhere warm. You never asked where, he never told you. You wonder if it burned with the sails. The ship is gone, the crew scattered, the war forgotten by most. But you remember everything, and you carry it, not as a weight, but as a presence, like a shadow you no longer see, but always feel. The sea is beneath your skin, and some days when the clouds are heavy and the wind cuts from the east, you swear you hear it calling, not cruelly, not kindly, just calling. He finds the letter on a day like any other, warm wind, low sun, the smell of straw and wood smoke drifting through the house. You are in the shed, sharpening a blade, dulled by earth and time, when the screen door creaks and a boy's voice carries in, "Is this yours?" You turn. He stands there small and sun-browned, holding the folded parchment with both hands, as if it might crumble if gripped too tightly. His eyes are wide, not afraid, just curious. He holds it out to you like a question. You take it. The letter is soft now, worn along its folds, the corners curled like leaves left out in rain. You feel the weight of it again, the heat of those quiet mornings at sea. You run your thumb along the edge, not opening it. You know every word. You could recite them in your sleep. Sometimes you do. Where did you find it, you ask? In the box. In the attic. With the things that smell like the ocean. You nod. He tilts his head. Did you write it? Yes. He pauses. Did you ever send it? No. Why not? You look at him. He is young, but not soft. His knees are scabbed. His hands are calloused from climbing trees and lifting stones. His hair is tangled, and his eyes, they hold something you recognize. That need to know. You sit. He follows. The shed is warm. Dust floats through a beam of late light, slanting through a crack in the boards. The blade lies forgotten on the workbench. He asks again, "Why not?" You consider your answer. Then, quietly, because there was no one left to read it. He frowns, not understanding. You unfold the letter. "May I read it?" he asks. You hesitate, then shake your head. No. He waits. After a long silence, you begin to speak. Not of battles, not of blood, not of the cold that crawled up your spine, or the screams that haunted the hold. You do not tell him about Merrick, or the boy who hummed lullabies before falling silent forever. You do not tell him about the rats, or the hunger, or the fire that swallowed the sails. Instead you tell him about the stars, how they shone every night, unchanged, even as everything below them shattered. You tell him about the silence in the mornings, about the sound of water slapping the hull, about the taste of bread gone hard, and the way a single sip of rainwater could feel like a miracle. You tell him about the wind, the way it wrapped around your bones, the way it whispered things that were not words. He listens, unmoving, eyes wide. You tell him about friendship, brief, fleeting, fragile as thread, and the way it lingered, even when the body that carried it had already sunk beneath the waves. He asks, "Were you afraid?" You nod. "Every day." "Did you want to come home?" "Yes. But you didn't come back the same." You meet his gaze. "No." He leans against your shoulder. The smell of grass clings to him. His fingers, dirty from play, trace a knot in the wood beneath the bench. He whispers, "I don't want to go to sea." You smile, not sad, but slow. "Then don't." "But if I did, would I come back like you?" You do not answer right away. Finally you say, "No one comes back the same." He is quiet for a while. Then he stands. "Can I make a copy of the letter?" You raise an eyebrow. "Why?" "Because maybe someday someone else will ask why." You hand it to him. He runs off, holding it close, careful not to bend it. You sit alone, watching the dust settle. The stars will come out soon. You wonder if they'll be in the same place. The days grow quieter now. The mornings come slower, stretched thin by age and softened by routine. You wake not to bells or barked commands, but to birdsong and the low murmur of wind weaving through the grass. Your hands move slower than they used to. Your back aches in a way that no longer surprises you. But still, you rise. Still you walk the worn path from your door to the edge of the field, where the willow tree waits like an old friend. There, beside its long green tresses, you sit. A bench you built with your own hands, faded by sun and time, still holds your weight. And from here, you can see the river. It is not the sea. It is narrow, brown. It carries silt and reeds, and the occasional leaf folded like a tiny boat. But it moves, it remembers, and sometimes, when the light is just right and the wind dies down, it reflects the sky so cleanly that it could be anywhere. It could be open water. You close your eyes. You breathe, and in the darkness behind your eyelids you are there again. On deck, boots braced, hands at the rope, wind roaring through your hair like a curse and a prayer all at once. You hear the slap of sails, the thunder of cannon, the scream that always came from nowhere and everywhere. But in this memory, you change it. The sails are full, but they do not tear. The sea is restless, but it does not rise in fury. The voices you hear are singing, not screaming. The salt on your lips is clean. The ship is whole. No rats, no blood, just a vessel under stars that do not move, cutting through calm water on a course to nowhere. You let the vision carry you, just for a moment. When you open your eyes, the river is still there. Still small, still yours. You rise and walk to its edge. Kneel, run your fingers through the cool water. It slips past. Unconcerned, forever onward. You pick up a stick, carve slowly into its side. Not a name, not a word, just a line, a simple mark. You set it in the current and watch as it drifts away, spinning gently, swallowed by the reeds. Behind you, a house creaks in the breeze. Its windows hold no candle tonight. You no longer need them. The dark does not frighten you. You have lived in darker places. The bench waits as you return to it. You sit again, and this time you lean back, letting your shoulders settle, letting the aches melt into the wood. You think of the liar, of the boy who hummed, of the cook who stopped speaking, of the woman who once touched your hand across a tavern table and asked where you'd been. They are all with you still, in the way you count the stars, in the way you eat your bread, in the way silence does not feel empty anymore, but sacred. You no longer dream of the sea with dread. Now, when it comes to you in sleep, it is calm. A ship moves through the dark. Its sails are gone, but it moves anyway, steady, slow, graceful as a thought. You stand on its deck, barefoot, lighter than you have ever been. There are no orders, no battle, no end. Just windless water, a sky without clouds, and the gentle groan of wood that carries you forward. You smile, not because you have forgotten, but because you have remembered what matters. In the end, the sea forget, not out of cruelty, but out of time. Names vanish there, faster than on stone. They are washed away with each tide, folded into the salt, broken into syllables the water will never speak again. There are no monuments, no graves, only memory, and even that is soft, fragile, and easily worn thin by wind. You once stood on the deck of a warship, a vessel of splinters, smoke, and songless prayers. You lived through cold that gnawed your bones hollow, hunger that erased the sound of your own voice, and blood that dried black on hands too young to carry it. Now, there is no ship, only a story. And even that drifts farther from the shore each year. They no longer speak of the thief from Danzig, who slept with a dagger beneath his pillow and a lie behind every smile, nor of the boy who wept each night for his mother and died dreaming of her face. The cook, who used to hum tunelessly over worm-eaten bread, the helmsman who lost his fingers to frost, the old man with the broken voice, whose last tale was stitched with salt, not even Marek, who made you laugh in the dark. Not even you. A boy finds your bench one spring. The willow still bends with grace. The carvings on the wood are faint now, smoothed by time, rain, the touch of curious hands. He sits, listens to the river, holds a carved gull in his palm, its wings slightly chipped. His mother calls from the house. He doesn't answer right away, because in the stillness, something lingers. A hush, a presence, not a ghost but a shadow of salt. He closes his eyes, feels it, the wind that carries no scent, the creak of wood beneath feet, not his. He cannot name it, but he knows it's old. And it was once you, somewhere far away. The ocean sighs, not in grief, not in triumph, just in motion. It takes and takes, not because it hungers, but because that is what it was made to do. Even the fiercest storm forgets its rain. Even the strongest man forgets his name. And the tide, always the tide, rises, falls, erases. You are gone now, but in the water you remain. In the salt that stings new wounds. In the mist that curls over strange harbours. In the hush that settles before a cannon fires. In the rhythm of rope and oar and prayer. You were one of them, and now your story joins the tide. As the last star fades and the sea grows still, thank you for sailing with me through the forgotten places of the past. If these quiet waters have stirred something in your heart, I invite you to return, to subscribe, to share, or to simply remember. What part of this voyage stayed with you the longest? Tell me, would you have survived such a storm? As the tide pulls away this final whisper, may the silence of the sea stay with you. If these echoes of salt and sorrow moved your soul, subscribe and return when you're ready to walk again across the planks of forgotten time. Could you have survived even 1 week aboard such a ship? What part of this story stayed with you the most? The hunger, the cold, or the silence? If you had written that letter from sea, who would it have been for?